Hello, and welcome to this video. My name is Spencer Phillips. I am a master's student at the University of Illinois in Champaign. However, I work with many of the scientists and affiliated staff at the Illinois River Biological Station in Havana, Illinois. This video showcases footage taken with what is known as the Aris camera, a very advanced piece of sonar equipment that enables us to capture very interesting scenes underneath the water surface. We will see a diver interacting with the artificial nesting structures that the Illinois Department of Natural Resources placed within the Rock River in 2015 to promote flathead catfish reproduction. The equipment used to capture the sonar footage is made by the company Sound Metrics. The Aris camera used to capture the sonar videos shown here is part of their Explorer series. The Aris camera was provided and operated by Jenna Bloomfield from the La Crosse, Wisconsin office of the United States Fish and Wildlife Service. A diagram for the orientation of the sonar transducer is provided on the right-hand side of the screen, where the transducer is mounted off the side of a boat and looking at a downwards angle towards the river bottom. The top half of the figure is an example of how the sonar footage is displayed. Those familiar with side scanning or maybe even live scanning sonar will find that the footage interpretation is similar to what you might have installed on your personal boat. One last thing before we dive into the sonar footage. I wanted to first introduce you to what these artificial nesting structures look like above the water, before seeing what they look like on sonar footage within the water. A large piece of black corrugated tubing with one end capped is placed upon a reinforced wooden pallet. Smaller PVC tubes were placed beside the large corrugated tube in hopes that the fry would use them as a temporary shelter after initially leaving the main nest. Concrete bags were placed upon the structure to help keep the nesting structure in place on the bottom of the river, which can experience some high flow conditions during certain periods of the year. Here is a single frame taken from one of these sonar video clips. This is to introduce you to how the video clips will be presented. The sonar transducer is located at the top of this image and is looking down towards the river bottom. Somewhat close to the top of this cone, you'll notice what looks like a person, because it is. Rich Lewis and Sheldon Fairfield from the IDNR office located in Springfield, Illinois, came up to the Rock River to dive on camera for us and check these nesting structures. In this sonar clip, Rich Lewis is in about 10 feet of water, feeling around on the bottom to try and find the nesting structure that we can see on screen. The corrugated piece of pipe is pretty visible with its ribs. At about this time, he finds the structure and he feels around to check its integrity, and then is trying to find the opening to the structure as well. Here he finds the opening and is going to check the inside and see if a fish is hanging out within the inside, and also to check if maybe sediment has built up within the structure or not as well. It's important to note that they're doing this in water that's pretty deep, and the Rock River is not known for its water clarity either. At about this depth, it is totally dark, and Rich Lewis and Sheldon are just feeling around blindly to try and find these structures. In this sonar clip, Sheldon Fairfield is checking one of the nesting structures. In this sonar clip, you can see an anchor with an attached rope near the nesting structure. We found that by being able to throw the anchor and rope next to the nesting structure, it made it much easier for Rich and Sheldon to initially find the nesting structures. This last clip showcases some habitat that we can find along the bank of the Rock River. In the other videos, the boat remains stationary while looking at a nesting structure. Here we are slowly moving the boat upstream while viewing what is happening below. In this video, you will occasionally see fish swimming around. In this case, we are cruising by a bank that has large pieces of concrete piled onto it, sometimes referred to as riprap. This seems to provide interesting crevices for fish to hang out in, It is most notable at the bottom of the screen, which is closest to the bank. Look for pieces with right angles. Also showcased are some pieces and piles of woody debris that also provide great habitat for fish within the Rock River. These sonar clips were made possible as an interagency effort with the purpose to better understand if flathead catfish are using the artificial nesting structures within the Rock River. I would like to thank those who made this video possible. This includes Beth Witzel of the IDNR to have enabled IDNR funding to support the project and has been with the Greater Telemetry Project since its very inception. I'd also like to thank Jenna Bloomfield with the United States Fish and Wildlife Service, who made the long drive down from La Crosse, Wisconsin to bring the Aris equipment, operate it, and provide the footage back to me to make this video. I'd also like to thank Rich Lewis and Sheldon Fairfield of the IDNR, who made the long drive up from Springfield, Illinois on very short notice to dive down into the dark waters and check inside these structures. I'd also like to thank Dr. James Lamer and Matthew Laws of the Illinois River Biological Station, who assisted with the logistics of organizing this event and helping coordinate things while on the water. If you'd like to know more about the greater research project that I am doing, please find my contact information in the video description. Please also check out the Illinois River Biological Station's Facebook page and website. Links to those are also in the video description below. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that you found it very interesting.